I'm Layne.
I'm Myles.
We're Taipei, Houston.
And you're watching Heavy Consequence.
Hey, it's Spencer with Heavy Consequence, and I'm here with Layne and Myles of Taipei, Houston. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And you guys are kind of debuting onto the rock scene, and you just announced your first project, Once Bit, Never Bored. And I noticed very specifically it was announced as a project, not an album. Was there a reason behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like for us, you know, we didn't necessarily want to like, we kind of got these songs together and we were sort of like, these are the songs that we've had and let's just like kind of get these out there sort of in like the capacity that we have them in, and sort of like didn't want to necessarily, I think like there can be some heavy emphasis on like, oh, it's like an album or something like that. And like, I think for us, we wanted to just like, let's just put the songs out there and like show people what we got and like also kind of keep going as well. You know what I mean? Like not
thinking about it too much.
Yeah, not having to be too much of a thing.
And we've already heard a couple of singles, first being As the Sun Sets. I'd love to hear more about that one, musically and lyrically.
Yeah, it's one of the first ones we wrote together as a band, and also one of the first ones with, you know, like we started the band just playing a lot together and fucking around, and then like eventually we're putting vocals on stuff, and it's one of the first ones that had vocals, and so it's just felt very organic to have it be the first one out of the gate.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of fun having it out there.
And the other song that we've heard is The Middle.
Yeah.
You don't mind talking on that one too?
Yeah, that one's cool. That one was kind of as well sort of one of the first ones where like that literally just kind of fully came from like, you know, just being on the floor and just like, oh, all of a sudden like, okay, that's cool. Like what could go with that? You know what I mean? And just that was like one of the first ones where sort of like it just had like a very kind of quick songwriting thing to it. And like, I mean, it came out in about like 30 minutes or something like that. Like it was very, very quick, that one. And yeah, it was
both very natural songs to hear first. Like they're kind of some of the earliest ones that we feel like really defines what we're doing at this time, you know.
And you're unique in that you're a duo, and you don't see a lot of them, but there have been some notable ones over the years, like the White Stripes and Local H and Death from Above. And how much of those bands, how much like going into the project, how much did those bands kind of influence you in kind of creating this big sound with just two members?
Well, you know, I think that like the interesting thing is we never, going into the project, we never really thought of ourselves as a duo. You know, our idea was always, oh, we're going to write all these songs and then we're going to get 2 or 3 more people to play them with. And then like just with COVID and also being 2 reclusive dudes, we just were like, we don't know anybody. Let's just put this stuff together and play it weirdly, the 2 of us. So I think all those bands definitely have an influence, but they're also, it's cool to be a duo out here and just like, I think at some point we'd maybe bring other people into the band or like have more instruments, you know, it's not just limited to that. So it's cool to be thought of as a duo, but then also I'm excited for people to hear the record and be like, oh, there's guitars and there's more going on and stuff like that, you know?
You know, for those who don't know, obviously your dad is Lars Ulrich, drummer of Metallica, and my question for you is more of, you know, what you've learned going into this, you know, as a kind of a new artist, what you've learned from watching your dad being part of like maybe the biggest metal band in the world. Any lessons, good and bad, as you start your own career?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing for us has just been like, you know, being around a lot of music always, and sort of like people that are into music are always into music. It doesn't matter, you know, like what size or this or whatever they're doing, you know what I mean? It's like music people, like people who are, you know, really like music, and like that's kind of how we come about it, you know what I mean? Like we kind of came into doing this thing like for ourselves, like kind of in like it was never like sort of like, you know, we found our own way with it, do you know what I mean, sort of, and like in terms of like being interested in it, and we've always just been, you know, for us, just interested in music, like just as people, like as players, you know what I mean? So
I think just being around it your whole life is a privilege, and getting to just learn as much as you can from as many people as you can is a really cool thing. So we're really grateful for that.
And it sounds like you guys grew up in a household where you listen to a lot of different music, obviously not just heavy metal.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of those bands or something that your dad may have introduced you to over the years that helped influence
all over
you?
the place, yeah. I mean, we listen like to
yeah, pretty with like a ton of stuff. Yeah.
When we were really little, like always listening to Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and stuff like that. But then I've also always listened to a lot of jazz, like Miles Davis and stuff like that. But then Also, I mean, electronic hip hop. I mean,
Yeah,
what-
no, I mean,
what else?
Oasis,
Pop.
like tons of different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always. I think
We
like
both
for
love
me,
Kendrick Lamar. I
Yeah,
mean, we're
like,
it's very all over the place.
it's never
I mean,
for both of us. We've always just been really interested in like just good music. You know what I mean? That not it's never been about genre, like specific stuff for us. And just like I've always been interested. Getting like he's my older brother, and so like as the younger brother, he would always introduce me to new stuff too. So he'd be like, "Oh, check out this jazz guy I just found," and all this stuff. And so just always, like tons of different stuff, very
Yeah.
wide net. Yeah.